Hello everyone. Well, Olivia has been on the Spill with Will podcast to talk about those infamous screenshots, among other things, but we're going to focus on the screenshots because I've been focusing on them a lot on my channel, to the chagrin of many, I might add. But let's have a look at what Olivia had to say about that whole debacle, if you want to call it that. This is the section in which she speaks about it, and we'll watch it together.
Was that planned, or did you know you was going to do that?
Of what I was going to say?
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't planned, but I assumed that we were going to vote between all of the couples. So when the producers said, look, this is the bottom three, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't really have a reason for any of them. And they said, oh, well, who do you have a reason for? And then I obviously said my reason, and they were like, oh, well, you can still mention it. And I was kind of like...
They were loving that.
I was kind of just like, oh, I don't really know if I should mention it. But then I was like, it is kind of a big piece of information that I've seen, and I just don't see it fair to say it to them and then not bring it,
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. First thing, she told the producers about the information, and they didn't dissuade her from saying it, and she felt she should say it. So that's interesting. We didn't know that. So the producers did know, guys. They did know about all this. Okay.
Yeah.
What I will say, right, is do people really think I would go on national television and lie about something so serious as that? And also, do they really think the producers would let me say something that they didn't know was true?
Okay, so she's obviously doubling down here. So she's saying, firstly, do you really think I'd go on national TV and lie? Fair point. I don't think she would. And secondly, do you think the producers would let me say it if they knew it wasn't true? Now that's the belief there she's holding on to, that she says, no, it was true. What I saw was real, and I'm continuing that. Now, I have to say, it's annoying we can't get some sort of statement from the producers, because I wonder what they knew. Did they check the screenshots? Did they check they were genuine? I mean, we don't know.
That's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, you got balls, like.
Yeah.
But I remember when you came off, when you did that, you was actually meant to come on this pod on the Wednesday, and I remember you had to cancel. But I remember seeing the level of hate there was, and I think people need to realise that it is just a reality TV show, and that people need to stop taking it so seriously.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's fair, everyone picking on you. No. I don't like that, and do you know what I mean?
I didn't think that's on the ups.
I have to say, guys, the level of hate she's got is insane.
It's a lot, and I don't know how you deal with that, because I feel like you put on this really strong front, and I think people don't know, you're just a girl. You're just a girl.
Yeah, no, when I had to cancel before, I think I just needed a moment to myself.
Yeah.
Because I've always been such a strong person. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I've always been such a strong person, and I just think, it does take a toll.
Yeah.
It does.
Especially in such a volume as well.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I don't know how you cope with that. I think you're so strong.
Thank you.
No, genuinely, you are so strong to have to deal with that, because that's a lot. That's too much.
I know, it's so hard being vulnerable as well, but then I'm for my followers, I'm I don't want to just put on a brave face all the time and say, I'm fine, it doesn't affect me, because I'm it's life, and life does affect you.
Have you been coping okay and stuff
Yeah, I've been really good. I've got strong family and friends around me, so that's just keeping me going. But yeah, I'm just trying not to deep it too much.
Yeah. That's the best way, I think. And honestly, just try and ignore it as much as you can.
Yeah.
But I think it's just hard when it just probably doesn't always... Are you on your For You page and it just...
Just constantly reminders, I think, of it all.
Hate.
Going back, I probably, if I'd have known the effect, it would have...
Probably wouldn't.
Because I never wanted, Grace to get any hate. That wasn't my intention. It was just kind of, it's a show.
Yeah.
And I said this piece of information to the producers, and they wanted me to,
blaming the
say
producers
what I'd
again.
Seen, and that was just kind of that. And yeah, it's just one I'm going to have to just swallow.
It'll die out.
Yeah, it's fine.
It'll die out. And I feel I think it's good that people can see this vulnerable side of you and know that it's just a show.
Yeah.
And not to take it so personally. And
I know.
And I don't agree with online hate and online abuse. And I think probably the things that you've heard and probably had is so vile, probably.
Yeah, I think, it's so... It is very vile, and it's very hard to, like, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. When I look at the comments, I just read it and I see my name and I'm like, this can't be about me. Like,
well, I can testify to the fact that some of the abuse she's received has been vile, and I don't think it's justified regardless of what you think of Olivia. I know some people are watching this and thinking, well, Olivia is just a flat-out liar. She lies about every single thing. Can't trust a word that comes out of her mouth, etc. But some of that, she's had like death threats over this kind of nonsense. I just think some people who write comments and send those kind of messages need really to look at themselves in the mirror and take some time away from the internet and perhaps get a psychiatric evaluation. But it's interesting how she doubles down. So I would love to know what Grace would think of this, for example, and I'd love to hear from the producers on this, but I doubt we're going to hear from either of those parties. And just as a side note, and I've been saying this in some of the comments, it is worth bearing in mind, guys, that the reason this is actually quite important is if you believe the results of All Stars was manipulated by this whole screenshot drama, then we have to be careful that this doesn't happen on the next season of Love Island. Because we have to think to ourselves, well, what if on the next season of Love Island there's perhaps a couple that are doing really well and we think they're going to win, and then someone decides to create fake text messages from them or fake videos using AI, and that then affects their chances of winning, for example. Are we then going to somehow work out a way of clamping down on that? How are we going to know what's real and what's not? Are we going to allow the program to be manipulated like this? Because don't forget that there was money involved here, because when you vote in Love Island, ITV get a kickback one way or another. So people vote. So if people's voting was affected and all that kind of stuff, there's certain guidelines that need to be stuck to, and there's voting involved because it involves money when it's a commercial channel, all that kind of stuff. So it's worth bearing in mind that, yeah, I know we can look at this and say, well, we're not sure about Olivia, we're not sure about Mitch, definitely. But, you know, my point is, again, I don't want the next series to be manipulated purely because someone's decided to start a campaign against a certain couple based on complete and utter stuff they just made up, if this was all made up. It's annoying that Olivia doesn't say in this interview, I got the screenshots from this person, you know, this was my source, I'm sure they're real because I can see certain signs on the messages that say they're real. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. We didn't get anything from her about that. We just got this. All the other chat was really about the hate she has to deal with, what it's like to prepare for Love Island, go on Love Island, and the makeup she wears, which I'm not particularly interested in. So there you go. What did you think of this? Leave your comments below, and let's try and keep things civil and polite at all times, please. A very good evening to you.